Welcome to Mysteries, Myths, and Legends. I'm Taylor.
I'm Savannah.
And welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Happy Wednesday. We're back.
We're back. It feels like we haven't recorded in forever, but in reality, you guys have never noticed anything different.
Yeah, because we were prepared a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I decided to go off the grid for like a week. So we had to pre-record a bunch of episodes, and we really haven't recorded in forever. So.
Mm-hmm. And that that explains the mix-up we had with the last two episodes, if you noticed.
Yeah.
Because last week you guys got an episode where we said Happy Mother's Day and stuff like that.
Yeah, and Mother's Day was a week ago when that episode dropped. And that's because, so me, as much as an audio professional as I am, we all are human and make mistakes. And I somehow managed to double layer a conversation that me and Savannah were having at two different times in life together in one. So it just sounded like we were talking all over each other. And I, as I said, was off the grid. So I didn't have my computer to edit it. So we just had to watch them. And that's why they're backwards. So sorry about it. I'm not though, sorry. Because it's funny, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, sorry, but not sorry. we were contemplating if we should post that part of it because it's kind of funny.
It really is so funny. But yeah, maybe one day in a bloopers reel. It's very funny. When she called me as I'm driving away, and she's like, Taylor, can you just please go listen to it? And I was absolutely cackling at how funny it sounded.
Yeah.
Because we just...
And then she goes, I didn't bring my laptop, so I can't fix it. I was like, oh, okay.
It was a big yikes. But you know what? Here we are. So, yeah. Okay. Also, this, I don't even know when it came out because now I'm just so confused with the episodes. But if you've listened to previous episodes, I once tried to prank, if you will, Savannah, into saying that somebody was possessed by an owl, and she was supposed to say who, but she didn't because she's a weenie. So
because I'm smart.
Whatever.
Because I'm not possessed by an owl.
Whatever. Well, so I decided to go take this joke and see if I could get anybody else. So I asked my parents, and my dad literally just looked at me for so long, and I thought he immediately knew, because he was just looking at me like, Taylor. And he was just staring at me, and I was like, do you, say something. And he was like, who? And I just literally cackled so hard because he didn't get it. And my mom at that point was laughing so hard because she got it, and then he just didn't get it for 5 solid minutes. And then was like, oh, that was funny.
That's actually hilarious because he's probably waiting for you to say who it was.
No, he was fully waiting for me to say who, and I was like, you're supposed to ask who. It was so funny, honestly. Oh, well, anyways, please, all of you, go try to fool your friends with that one because it might work, and it's very funny. So, anyways, moving along, me and Savannah are, when this episode comes out, about to go see the one, the only Tame Impala.
Yes. I'm very excited about this.
I'm so excited. Oh, I cannot wait. It's going to be amazing.
I'm hoping it's not going to rain because, the next few weeks look a little rainy out.
Listen, I have way too many outdoor concerts that I plan on going to in the next couple weeks. So that's going to have to stop because I'm not going to be covered. But I will stand in the rain. So
yeah, no, definitely. Maybe I'll buy a poncho or something so I can just sit there in the rain.
Yeah, honestly, it's gonna have to be because I'm gonna be out there in the rain regardless. Okay. Also, we're gonna go cut to we are now the TV podcast. We have this, little area of our podcast pretty much weekly. Guys, I started a new show today, and it is so funny. It's on Netflix, and it's called The Pentaverate, and honestly, I have no words other than y'all just need to go watch it. If you're interested in our podcast, you would be interested in the show, because it's very funny. and also about like conspiracy theory funny things.
Yeah, like I looked it up and it looks so like it looks like my new favorite show, honestly.
It's
like,
literally my
I'm
new
excited.
favorite show. So definitely go watch it. It's really, really hilarious. Okay, probably the most important news, aside from the TV corner of our show, we also have a corner of our show called The Harry Styles Show.
Oh, of course we do.
If you don't know and you're new here, we are in love with Harry Styles, as is most everyone in this world, so, you know, we're not that different. However, when you are listening to this episode, his album is coming out in 2 days, if you're listening on the day that it drops.
Ah!
I want to scream, but I don't want to blow up you guys' ears, so I won't.
No, no, true.
Just know that I'm internally combusting.
Yeah, May 20th, if you need to know.
Harry's House, baby. Go listen to it. Honestly, we promote him on this podcast. Go listen to it. I'm so excited. I'm going to stay up at midnight. I'm going to be there, click and refresh on Spotify, and I'm going to listen to the whole thing and probably sob my eyes out. Oh my God. Honestly.
Yeah, I maybe. I might be there with you.
I'm definitely doing that. I'm so excited.
Or I'll just listen to it like in the morning on the way to work or something. But
yeah.
We'll see.
It's definitely going to be on repeat that whole day.
Does it come out midnight our time or midnight?
Oh, probably his
London
probably
time.
His time. Yeah, probably London. So I guess
wasn't that like at 7 o'clock here?
Oh God, that just made me even more excited.
I'm ready for that.
Guys, that means tomorrow, possibly. I don't know though. I don't know what time, but I'm assuming London.
We'll have to see.
But anyways, Harry Style corner over, but we're really excited. So, just know we've been in the talks of starting another podcast just about Harry Styles. So, I'm kidding, but like also I'm not.
Right, like we should just have like a separate one just for our like basic conversations. Like we just had a conversation that took probably 30 minutes before we started recording.
Honestly, probably longer.
It's like that's its own podcast itself, you know.
We should have just been recording it, honestly. Oh, I said something funny in that conversation. I'll say it again to you guys, but I'm not going to give you any context. So I just said that in one of my previous lives, I do think that I might have died by fire. So that's that on that. If you can relate to that, let me know.
I mean, I can definitely see it, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I really do think so. But last and certainly not least on my long list of intro topics for this week, if you're listening to this when this comes out on Wednesday, the 18th, well, I guess it doesn't matter actually because I'm lying to you. Tomorrow's Friday the 13th for when me and Savannah are recording.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you were about to.
Yeah, I was
it
about
really
to
doesn't
say,
matter when you're listening.
It doesn't matter when you're listening because it will have already passed. But for me and Savannah, I'm really hoping no bad luck happens tomorrow.
I know. I guess we'll have to leave you guys hanging another week to see. But
I know. And we also might forget to update you.
A lot of good things are happening soon, so hopefully none of them nothing happens.
I know. I'm staying in. I'm not doing anything because
I used to not really care about Friday the 13th or think it meant anything bad, but then after COVID started on Friday the 13th, basically.
I know.
Like that's basically when it started, right? Like we all agree.
No, 100%.
That just ruined it for me. I'm like, okay, Friday the 13th. Unlucky.
Right. And I've also, I know a lot of people like who work in the medical field and specifically like have worked in the ER and stuff. And they're like, no, 100% like Friday the 13th and full moons, like way more people have come in like with accidents. And so like it asks the question, like, is it because they're thinking that, I don't know. But weird coincidence if you ask me.
Yeah.
Well. Yeah. But before we get into our stories for this week, I actually have a fan story that was submitted to us by a YouTube comment. So I thought I would read you some of this person's story because it's a little wild. So their name on YouTube is Hero to Zero. So shout out to you if you're out there. They say, and this is a big throwback. Okay. So if you've been here from the beginning, you know that we once covered the legend of the Yowie, which is basically the Australian Bigfoot. So that's his story, is about the Yowie. So I encountered a Yowie. It was a terrifying encounter. You'll never know true fear until you're being attacked by one. I literally walked into it at night, alone and unarmed. I was hiking up a trail by myself when I heard a deep growling, which, was completely out of place and far too loud to be a dog. And so he started looking around, just trying to see what was up. And then all of a sudden, boom, he looked straight into the eyes of like just a bright light in the sky. I said the eyes. That's not what it is. But he sees like a bright light in the sky, okay? A bright light. And at first he's like, okay, is it the moon? He doesn't know. But he's blinded for a second, which I'm like, okay, that's so creepy. I lost my spot. Oh, no. Okay. So he's blinded for just like, a quick second, like when you look into a bright light. And all that he could make out was a huge black silhouette, and that it was kind of furry, So the growling then changed into a scream, like a feral pig. Then it threw a huge rock at me, and it was about 2 basketballs in size. Like the rock was 2 basketballs in size.
Oh my God, that's huge.
That's horrifying. And yeah, it is huge. And he said that the rock landed very close to me, but even though he was partially still blinded, he could see the rock like at his feet, like only landed inches away from him. Horrifying. The terror had frozen me in place. All of my hair on my body was standing up, and the chill of the grave, don't know what that means, ran down my spine.
The chill, like thinking he was about to die.
Oh, true. Yeah, no, you're right, because then the next thing I thought to myself, I'm going to die right here and right now. But somehow he managed to get his legs moving, and he ran as fast as he could all the way to his car. And he says that nobody in his entire life has believed him, and it's been 35 years since that happened, and it still gives him chills. And he says that you Americans call them Sasquatch. So, dun dun dun, that's horrifying. Like, even if, like, I'm taking it out of, like, maybe it's not a yowie. I don't care what animal is throwing a rock at me. I don't want that to happen.
Right.
Especially not if it's like a huge, hairy-looking man creature. Like, absolutely no.
I mean, it does seem like the yowie or whatever it was like scared of him.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Definitely, because he was trying to, like, get it away from him with the rock.
Yeah, so they're both, like, running from each other almost.
Yeah. Honestly, me.
So, yeah.
Crazy. But, yeah, just had to share that because that's absolutely wild. And I'm not trying to encounter one of those. I said, I think back in that episode, I said that I would, but I think I changed my mind based on that, so.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. That, yeah. Horrifying. Way too scary. It's just.
Yeah, I know. Like, Yowies, like, when we talked about them, like, weren't that scary, if I remember right. Like, maybe they were, but I don't know. Like, Bigfoot's never really scared me that bad, but this story, I don't know. I just don't know after this one.
Do we believe him, even though none of his friends or family has ever believed him?
I think we have to give him a chance. Like, I don't know. But I also have questions, such as, why were you hiking at night by yourself? Because that would not be me.
Yeah.
If you're listening, please answer, because I really actually want to know. But I do believe you. I do. So, anyways, that's all the intro topics I have, saying as if we didn't just talk for 15 minutes. But...
No, I know, right? It's okay. You have the ability to fast forward if you want to.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm not going to tell you when we stop talking about whatever we want to talk about, but you can figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was sort of on topic with our podcast, so that's it's all good. Well, I have something different to talk about, not a creature.
Oh, I'm excited.
But I think you might know something about this one.
Ooh.
So a few weeks ago, I did a story about, like ancient mythology type stuff. Mm-hmm. And this sort of connects to that a little bit.
Okay.
Because we're talking about the Library of Alexandria.
Oh, okay. I'm getting National Treasure vibes. Immediately.
Yeah, a little bit. Do you know anything about the Library of Alexandria?
Yeah, I've definitely heard of it, but from the top of my head, can't remember a single thing about it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what I'm here for. I'll tell you about it. So it is an ancient library, or was an ancient library. and it was part of a museum, which I didn't even know this. I didn't realize museum, the word comes from like the muses, like the goddesses.
Oh, wow. Okay, no, I definitely didn't know that either.
Yeah, so a museum was like a shrine to the goddesses.
What?
Like the
No
muses.
way. That's wild.
Which is crazy to me because I never really thought about that. But I mean, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it does.
So there was a museum, and then there's a library that was a part of it. And this was a huge library. And the story goes that the Library of Alexandria burnt down. That's what like everybody says. That's what I've always heard.
Mm-hmm.
And that tons of knowledge was lost because there's like so many books and scrolls and stuff in here that, you know, people were making discoveries and stuff, and it was just lost.
Mm-hmm.
This is just the myth of it. This is what I've always heard about it. But as I dug into this deeper, that may not be the case.
Ooh, dun dun dun.
It is definitely gone. So there's that.
Yeah.
But how it like disappeared, there's different theories.
Ooh,
But first let me talk more about the library itself. So, everything in this library was in scrolls. So like papyrus scrolls.
Mm-hmm. We love a good scroll.
Mm-hmm. And papyrus, not even paper. Like, you know.
Yeah, that's fancy.
And there was like between, this is like a big range here, 40,000 to 400,000 scrolls.
Okay. Regardless, that's a lot of scrolls.
Yeah, like a lot of scrolls at like the height of this library. And there was even a separate building to house the extra ones because like they ran out of space, so they had to do a separate building, and it was called the Temple of Serapis.
Oh.
And I'm gonna bring it back a little bit further again to just the city of Alexandria in general. It was founded by Alexander the Great in 330 BC.
Wow.
So
back.
A long time ago.
That's some serious throwback.
Yeah. So it's a city in Egypt, and it was the city of like scholars and academics and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's within like 10 years of this city being founded, it became the capital and the city that was recognized to be like for everybody who went there was like going to study basically.
Oh.
Or because there was also a big port there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you know, in like ancient times and even now too, port cities are really big just because, you know, that's where you get in your supplies and stuff.
I live in a port city. I would in fact know that.
Mm-hmm. So this was, you know, a version of that, I guess. This is probably way bigger.
Literally the same. Exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. And before the library was built here, there was like a lighthouse that was the big spectacle of the city. But then the library was built and everyone was like, oh, we're going to go because of the library. Because it's so big.
I'm sad that we're never going to get to go. Because that would have been so cool.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I'm like really disappointed in that. I like always, like I learned about this when I was younger and I always was like, oh, it would be so cool to like go there one day.
Right.
But it's destroyed.
It's so sad.
Okay, so the building of this started a long time ago.
Oh, I can imagine.
But okay, so Ptolemy the First, which I've heard of this name, so I'm like, somebody out there might know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I've heard of his name too.
Okay. So whoever that was, Ptolemy the First started building the library, and then Ptolemy the Second and the Third also went on to finish it, and they were like the architects for it. And this was like the library was founded with the intent of having a copy of every single book in the world.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, they wanted like this huge collection. They wanted every single book. which also makes it really cool because like that's just such a cool idea.
But that would never happen today.
No, I mean, I was just gonna say it kind of has happened today because
the internet. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. But it's not. I'd rather go to a physical library. You know.
Yeah, that's true. It's probably harder to find things though. You know.
Oh, it definitely is.
You can't just search. You have to actually go look.
Mm-hmm. But that's the fun.
Yeah, true. And actually though, this is a little further down on my notes, but I'll say it now. When they went to go and like look for things in this library, at first it was like so unorganized.
I honestly bet.
And then somebody made like a thing that organized it all, like said this is where this genre of stuff is. This is where this is. Nice. And like actually labeled stuff and like made a directory, that's the word. Mm-hmm. So yeah, before that it was just chaos. It was just like whatever.
I can only imagine how chaotic that was.
Yeah.
With no system at all.
Uh-huh. I bet they had like some sort of system, but it was like it's super hard to find stuff. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so since they wanted every single book in the world, they would actually stop the boats at the port, stop every ship, and like they would board it and take any books they had and copy them.
Oh, wow. And by hand?
Well, yeah, they didn't have anything.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I know that, but like that's crazy.
Yeah, they had like library scribes, mm-hmm. Who would take the books and rewrite them. And then the original book would stay in the library and the copies would go back to the person who they took it from.
No, that's messed up. What?
Yeah. Well, they're like, this is the Library of Alexandria. We need the originals. Come on.
Wow, that's messed up. I would be so mad. I'd be like, absolutely not.
No, I know. It is. I mean, it's a little bit messed up, but also like you're furthering knowledge. You know.
I mean, true.
So this library honestly seems so awesome to me because they like scholars would come to this library for research and to like find like discoveries and stuff, like try to figure stuff out. And there was like lodgings, meals, and controversial, there were servants mm-hmm. For them so that they could do their research, like focus on that.
Yeah.
So it was basically like a model for the modern university almost.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, that's cool though.
Mm-hmm. And this is so cool, like thinking about that this existed in ancient times. You know?
Right. Do we know what it looks like?
Not really.
I imagine it to, I mean, I don't know why I'm imagining it like this because I know it wasn't, but like just all stained glass is what I picture. Like very magical, but I know that's not what it was.
I don't think it's stained glass. I picture more like, not brick, but like stone walls mm-hmm. and like stone shelves.
Oh, well, that's
like
definitely like what
everything.
It was, I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just picture this like very magical library in my brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it just seems amazing. Mm-hmm. So books were like brought from everywhere to come here. People would come from everywhere to come and study. I mean, you probably had to like be of a certain caliber to be here. You know, it's not, definitely. I don't know if they just let anybody in, but it is still cool that like people could just come and do this. Mm-hmm. So I have a few people listed here and their discoveries, which is still like, it's just all so cool to me because like this was in ancient times and they made all these discoveries. So, the guy who made the directory, I'll list him first. His name was Callimachus, and you know, all these names are going to be crazy like that. Yeah. Crazy for us Americans anyway. Mm-hmm. He made the directory to show like where everything was in the library, and he also sorry, that's not what I was gonna say. Let me back up a little bit. Before this, everything was just like it was hard to find, and it like helped people make their discoveries faster because they could go and find their stuff easier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then this guy called Aristarchus, yes. He discovered that the sun was at the center of the universe.
Oh, what? No way.
Yeah, like from all the stuff in the library, he was able to figure that out.
Wait, what year was this?
I mean, it was in BC.
That's okay, but that's already crazy enough. Like, wow.
Did I not write? I'm pretty sure, like, 300s BC-ish.
That's so mind-blowing to me.
Or 200s BC. I don't know.
Regardless, mind-blowing.
Yes. But he discovered that 1,000 years before Copernicus.
Oh.
If you've heard of Copernicus.
I definitely have heard of Copernicus.
Yeah. So he did it first. He claimed that it was a heliocentric solar system.
Wow. That's awesome.
And the first use of the word geography was, the word geography came out of the library.
That's like, how do people even make words?
No, I know.
Beyond me.
But this is from Eratosthenes.
Mm-hmm. Don't ask me. I really don't know.
So hard right now with these names.
I absolutely could never.
Okay, but he did the first use of the word geography, and he also calculated the circumference of the Earth.
Okay, these people were way smarter than me. Yeah,
he didn't calculate it exactly, but like very, very accurately.
That's so wild.
Mm-hmm. And he was able to just like, he discovered that it was round in the first place. And
some people would disagree.
Yeah,
not me. I'm just saying some people would.
No, you're right. Maybe we'll get there one day, but maybe not. He also invented longitude and latitude.
No way. That's so funny that you say that, because me and Dina were having such a debate on what is longitude versus latitude the other day. That's crazy that it was really made that long ago.
No, I know. I was like learning this stuff. I was like, wow, these things are actually ancient.
Yeah, like really basic things.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's so shocking.
I guess it makes sense, but
I mean, it definitely does.
There's also the founder of trigonometry.
Oh my lord, I could absolutely never do that.
Yeah. That was Hipparchus.
Mm-hmm.
He founded trigonometry, and he also cataloged the stars.
Whoa.
Yeah, and he calculated the length of a solar year within 6.5 minutes of accuracy.
That's like, I can't even fathom the knowledge that went through there.
I know. It's like, how do you even figure this stuff out? Like,
how do you create math? I can't even do math, and I know the rules. Like, the rules are given to me, and I still can't do math.
No, I know. They're the ones who had to figure out the rules.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I could literally never do this.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, because of all of this, he's actually considered still the greatest astronomer of all time.
Yeah, as he should be.
So, it's pretty cool. I have a few more. There was a geometry textbook actually written by this guy. I'm not even gonna try.
Okay.
There's a geometry textbook written, and it was called The Elements.
Ooh.
And it had a really long-lasting influence. The book lasted for over 2,000 years after it was written.
Whoa. That's what I hope one day this podcast will be. 3,000 years in the future, people will be listening to this.
Maybe, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot of things from this library have just been long-lasting. And there's also a woman, Hypatia. She was the first prominent woman of math.
Shout out.
So that's kind of cool.
Shout out women in STEM.
Yes, definitely. I am a woman in STEM.
Wait, what was her name?
Hypatia.
Shout out to her.
Yeah, Hypatia. There was also, I didn't write down the people for this one, but there were like a bunch of biology discoveries made here as well. And one of the discoveries was like the difference between arteries and veins.
Whoa. Oh, okay. I really would love to know how they figured that out.
No, I know.
Actually, I don't think I do want to know. I think I lied.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting. And there's also the first medical school in the
What?
library.
Okay. That's actually wild.
Yeah. And I believe some of the discoveries made from the medical school were like used in medicine for centuries afterwards. And then they, grew from that too. But
Yeah, that blows my mind because I was thinking the other day, like who just found out how to do surgery? I mean, obviously, so many people had to die to figure it out.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Which is awful, but like, wow, like we really did it. We figured it out. Blows my mind.
I know, because like you think about it, it's like if humankind didn't have these ways of doing things, it's as if just me or you had to do them. It's like we would just be like, I have no idea.
You wouldn't want me in open heart surgery. Absolutely no.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I'm not during this time, but like during some time in history, they didn't even know they had to wash their hands and stuff.
Right. I mean, like down to the basics. Even like we can't eat some berries on the ground. Like,
yeah,
we've really came a long way.
We really have. But I feel like I don't know if I might talk about this in the other notes. I'll just bring it up now. The fact that like all of these discoveries were being made, and then it seems like we took a step back. Like this ancient world was so smart and stuff, and then like we didn't wash our hands when we were doing surgery a few decades later.
No, but you're so right. Like what
Not
really
decades, but
like what happened?
okay, well, I was actually about to get into that a little bit, but I'll just flat out say it right now. I think it was sort of because of religion sort of coming and taking over.
That definitely makes sense.
Yeah. You know, there's no way to really say it without offending a few people, but like some religions can come and like just set back progress a lot.
No, it's just the
truth. That's sort of what I think happened with that.
Yeah.
But let's get back into the library a little bit.
Yeah.
And so now that I've told you all about how awesome it was.
Oh no. You're gonna crush my dreams of this magical library.
Well, actually no.
Yay.
Not yet. I'm gonna talk about how it was destroyed. So like that is crushing it a little bit. But
crushing probably literally.
Yeah. Well, maybe. So the main theory that I was saying in the beginning is that it was burned down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people believe that the library was destroyed at the siege of Alexandria, which was in 48 BC.
Mm-hmm.
Which it was when Julius Caesar set fire to ships in the port. And the fire is theorized to have spread to the library and like to the town.
That makes sense.
But he didn't mean for it to. Apparently, he just wanted to like, I don't know, he's trying to take over.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to destroy it, but might have accidentally done it. But against this theory, people visited the library after this date.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. And it was used up to 300 years after that event.
Okay.
So like that probably didn't destroy it.
Listen, that math is not mathing, so sounds wrong to me.
Yeah. So that's what everyone says, like, oh, it was burned down. Well, no, probably not. And it might have burned a little bit, but like not totally, So the next kind of theory is that, getting back into the religion. So this was the end of like paganism in the area, and Christianity is entering in around the 4th century. So 391 AD.
Okay.
So there was an emperor and he ruled that the library would be destroyed to wipe out the remainder of paganism.
Oh. Okay.
Because, of course, knowledge scares people who want to control you.
Yeah, that's facts.
Mm-hmm. And he also ordered a church be built on top of where the library was.
Oh my god, okay.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's also another theory that I think, I mean, these both could have happened. Like, maybe the Christianity came in and like they did get rid of a lot of the stuff in the library, but it was still sort of functioning. And then there was actually a Muslim conquest in 640 AD. And this is where people say that a bunch of scrolls were destroyed over time after the city was taken over.
Oh.
And the people in charge were saying that the only book that mattered was the Quran.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably
so
a similar...
Just have religions coming from all ends of the world.
No, exactly.
Attacking this library.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's with all religions. None of them want you to know things.
Yeah.
And I said what I said.
Yeah, so this was actually like 300 years after the Christians came in. So they had like a good reign, and then now the Muslim conquest. Wow. But it is like a similar type of thing, like you're saying, like they don't want this knowledge here.
Yeah.
They basically said if it didn't follow the Quran, it was blasphemous.
Oh,
and if it did, then it was just repeating it anyway, so like you don't need it.
Oh, okay. Well,
so
that's interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. So I don't know about that logic, but that was that, I guess. So with these two events, seemingly the whole library is just gone after this. So, yeah.
Rest in peace.
I tend to believe that, like, yeah, it probably was just destroyed over time.
Yeah.
Like, some people say, oh, yeah, it was just destroyed, like, all at once. No, I think it was just taken out, like, over time. Because there's so much in there, too, you know?
That's right. It's huge. Also, I just feel like probably all of these things happened to it. Like, there probably was a fire, and it burned, like, some of it. And then all these religions came in, and then they destroyed the rest of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like that. But I have another curveball to throw at you.
Oop. We love a good curveball.
What if the library never existed?
Oh. Okay, actually, I was thinking of that, like, earlier, but I didn't want to, like, you know, say that out front.
Because it seemed too perfect?
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I mean, if things were working, you know, I don't know. Like, I know we sometimes do go back, you know, take a big back step in history, but, like, the first medical school, like the stars, like that's a lot of stuff that we still kind of are trying to figure out today.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the discoveries were definitely made during those times. That's not really up for debate.
Wow.
But the building itself is sort of up for debate.
Okay.
Because apparently no architectural remains or like archaeological finds can be like definitely be attributed to the ancient library.
Okay.
Like nothing can be recovered.
Okay. I have a theory. Is the library like a code term for like a secret society of really smart people?
I think that's what people think, because it's written about in a lot of things, and you know these discoveries are attached to it, so like maybe it is just like a group.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And that also, weirdly enough, ties into that show that I was telling you guys to watch.
True, yeah.
Which is why I even had the idea to begin with. That's really wild.
Yeah.
Like, so there's just no record of the building being built?
Yeah, there's no physical proof of it.
That's so weird.
But there is proof of... you know how I said there was a separate building that housed a bunch of the stuff? Mm-hmm. The foundation was found for that.
Okay, well, that's even more weird. Okay, what about the guy that organized it? Maybe he was just in the group. Like he had to say.
The architects?
Yeah. What about him?
He, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, he was in it, too. He was like, we're in the secret society, babes. Mm-hmm. We organized that library up and down.
Yeah. So yeah, like I just don't, I don't know. Like it's hard to place a finger on it because it's like I want to believe that it was real.
Yeah.
But if they really just can't find anything on it.
That's super.
See, this is just like ghosts though. Like, oh, you can't see them, so does that mean they're not there?
I mean, no. Definitely not, but I just feel like it's so weird that they found proof of the other building being there, but not that part.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's weird. Also, but are they just saying that, too? Like, here's another theory. What if the library, like, held a lot more knowledge than we even know? Like, way more knowledge than even we just said? And they had to get rid of it. Because it was way too dangerous for people to know. Like, not even just religions. I'm talking about, like, this secret society. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. That's so weird because I wasn't even thinking about it like that it never existed. That's
No, I know. I didn't think about that either, but then when I read that there's been no archaeological finds at all.
Yeah, no.
That's like that's a little crazy.
That's so
I mean, it is super old though.
Yeah. Well, that's facts.
Could have been just like disintegrated or something.
Yeah,
I mean, know.
Yeah, it could have very possibly just, weathered away.
Yeah.
It's been thousands of years.
So. Yeah, it's not like they have plastic that'll just stay around forever.
Yeah, exactly. Things were better for the earth back then. Mm-hmm. Which is sad.
Yeah, I do have a few questions here, though, that we can sort of ponder,
yes.
Which is sort of like the mystery of it.
Ooh.
Which, of course, what I just said, was it real at all? I don't know. But what would have been, what, like, would the world be like if the library was never destroyed?
That's the question.
What kind of discoveries would we have made by now? And, like, would we be more advanced if nothing, like, got in the way of that?
I mean, I would say definitely that answer is yes.
Yeah. Because they were on a good track.
They were on a real good track. That's a long time ago. And even, like, I mean, I just said I'm completely baffled at the things they discovered back then. So, like, if that would have kept going, I mean, we would be in what we thought the future was going to look like, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like flying cars. I mean, I know they exist, but, like, barely, Like, I still get stuck in traffic on the daily, so.
Mm-hmm. And like, it's crazy because, like, because a lot of these things were destroyed, we know so little about ancient civilizations.
Right. Like, exactly.
Like, what if they were these, like, high-tech civilizations? Maybe not with, like, actual screens and stuff that we have now, but, like, high-tech
or,
in
like,
a
aliens.
Way.
Or, like, what if they were the aliens?
That's a totally other theory, but yes, that could be it, too.
Oh, completely other theory. Yeah, I know. But my brain's always thinking about the aliens.
Oh, always. But yeah, I think it would be... I wish I could go back in time to go I want to just go see how it was like back then.
Dude, I would totally save the library. That's actually my, like, okay, we have to figure out time travel, okay, Savannah?
They were probably also misogynistic.
Well, there
was, like, that one woman, but, like, she probably got, like, some sort of special treatment to get in there. I don't
100%, know. Like, yeah. That's, wow, that story really just threw me for a loop there.
I do still have a little bit more to talk about.
How can there possibly be more?
So, going back to, like, the questions I just was asking, really, it's theorized that civilization is set back about 1,000 years because it was destroyed. Like, all this knowledge was destroyed.
I totally agree with that.
See, I would think more, but, like, 1,000...
That's a long time. I mean, if like, we're only in 2000, Savannah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
like that'd be 3022.
Yeah, no, you're right.
That's a lot of time. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we would really be in, like, but then again, I don't know. Wow, that's a tough question.
Yeah, there's also another point to make though about this, that there were other libraries at the time. Mm-hmm. This wasn't the only one, and there were some that were, like, almost the same size, but, like, so the knowledge could have existed, just not, it might not have been as easy to get to because, the Library of Alexandria was, like, pretty known,
Yeah.
And they were known for recording everyone's books, and like I guess they had a lot of stuff in there and organized. So I don't know. But the fact that there were other libraries, maybe we aren't as set back as we think.
Yeah, that's very true. Because also, like, even though it wasn't like all in one place, like the books still existed. Like the knowledge was out there. Because as we said, they made copies of the scrolls that they brought in. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it is a good point though that it was probably way easier to make the connections and stuff when it was all right there in the same building.
I mean, that's for sure. I mean, just look how much we've advanced even with the internet. Like having any answer on the tip of your fingers within exactly, 5 seconds. Yeah. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. So I have one more point to make, and that is that there is actually a modern Library of Alexandria.
What? Okay, we're going. Say less.
It was completed in 2002.
Wow.
So, pretty modern. 20 years.
Is it in Alexandria?
Yes.
Yay.
In 1974, people wanted to recreate the library. And construction actually didn't begin until 1995. So, a good while after that. And it has shelf space for 8 million books.
Oh my God. That is so... Okay, because I was going to say, like, first of all, how do they know what it looks like? Because we don't even know if it existed.
Well, they just made a new library that's, like, similar, you know?
Oh, yeah, okay.
They're not copying.
8 million books. How close to it is it being, like, full?
You know, I didn't really see that anywhere. I just kept seeing it has the shelf space for 8 million. So I don't know. But it's a lot.
That's so many books.
And there's actually 4 museums inside.
What? This place is huge.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how big the museums are. Like, is it just a room? I don't know.
Well, I mean, but to hold 8 million books, the place is huge.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. So the 4 museums are, there's like the Antiquities Museum, which is archaeological, so Egyptian stuff. There's the Manuscript Museum, which is like rare manuscripts and books. And there's also like digital stuff and real books. There is the Sadat Museum, and Sadat, I hope I'm saying that right. He was Egypt's 3rd president.
Oh.
From 1970 to 1981, and he was actually assassinated. Oh, but no. This museum's like to him.
Oh, that's cool.
And his life. And then there's also a History of Science Museum.
That's so cool. I really want to go.
I know, like it seems really cool. I never knew there was a actual modern one today.
No, definitely neither.
I mean, it's probably 8 million books, like they're trying to make it the same, right?
Definitely. I can't, like, I've only been in probably like 5 libraries in my life. Like, not that many.
Are you serious?
I mean, I would just go to the same library, you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, well, yeah, I guess so.
I've probably only been in 5 different ones, and none of them.
Are you counting your, like, school ones?
Oh, no. Okay, like 10. Okay, like 10. But regardless, like, the biggest one I've ever been in is UNCW library, and that's not that big of a library.
Yeah. No, me too. I know. Thinking about how big these libraries have to be.
Like, that's so cool. I want to go in a really big library.
I know.
Plus, I mean,
I still love going to the library.
Same. Yeah. Well, I haven't been to one since school, but, like, I just remember I've always had so much fun in a library. It's a vibe.
Yeah, growing up, I used to, like, go to the library a lot, especially in the summer and stuff. We would go and get books.
Yeah, me too.
And our librarian was Miss Baker.
Aww.
Shout out. And she like, knew our family because we would always come in and stuff. And they also had, like, programs at the library. Like,
yeah, mine too.
Science in the summer. So we'd do, like, science stuff fun. There. Yeah.
I would do the same thing
there's such a good place. even dating back to this time, like, they were doing other things besides just, like, books. It's
exactly.
just, like, a community.
It's just such a little fun little vibe. What I remember, so yeah, like, my library had, like, a bunch of, like, programs, especially in the summer, too, that we would always go to. But one thing that they would always do is that they would bring in, like, for children, like, a character dressed up. And, like, you could meet whoever it was, like, Mickey Mouse or whoever. And, like, there's always different ones. And my favorite character growing up, as Savannah knows, was Scooby-Doo.
Oh, yes.
And so when it was the day to meet Scooby-Doo, you know, I was so excited. I was like, oh, girl, I'm going to meet Scoob. Like, don't even talk to me. I'm famous. And I was so excited to meet him. And we walk in, and my brother was like 2 at the time, and I was like 5. And I was so excited to meet my idol. And my brother started throwing a tantrum, and we had to leave, and I never got to meet Scooby-Doo. And no, Taylor, I've never forgiven him from that. Josh. Never will I forgive him.
Oh my gosh, that's devastating.
I know.
I do have a related story. That's not actually that related. They had animals at the zoo, or the zoo. People from the zoo came to the library.
Yeah, actually, they did that for mine too.
And I got to have a corn snake around my neck.
Ew, my brother did that, but I refused.
No, I was like, this is going to be cool. I need to do it.
Wait, is a corn snake small?
No, they're huge.
Oh. Ew, Savannah, ew. I could not.
Corn snakes are huge, but they're not dangerous.
Like, they're not. I literally don't care. I feel so bad that I can't stand snakes like that. Like, I really wish I didn't hate them so much, but, like, they put a fear in me that I can't even describe.
That's probably a good thing, you know? Maybe. Your natural instinct.
Maybe in another past life I was killed by a snake, and that's why I'm so afraid of them.
Maybe. I actually saw a snake today. Oh my god.
Ew, oh no. Oh, absolutely not.
I was walking, like, on a trail earlier, and yeah, there was a snake on the side of the trail.
And how big was it?
It was kind of big.
Oh no. Did you run away? I surely would have.
I just walked by.
Absolutely not. Ew.
Some other people were there. I wouldn't have even noticed it, but there were some other people walking, and they took pictures. They're like, "Oh, look at that snake."
Ew. That stingers me. It gives me the literal chills. Oh God. Ugh. Disgusting.
Well, anyways, now that we've gotten off topic,
I know. Anyways,
from this library, that's all I had about the library.
That's all. That's all. As if you said nothing. That's a lot about the library. That's crazy.
So did you really not really know about?
No, I definitely did. I definitely did. Once you started talking about it, it came back to me. But like, I definitely didn't know all that information.
Yeah.
And also, while you were telling your story, I realized why it gave me National Treasure vibes, and it's because they went to. I'm pretty sure it was in Philly. I don't know, some old city that has like a national library in the second National Treasure, and they have like a secret book. That's what I was thinking of.
No, that's definitely it. I think there is that in Philly.
Yeah, like
because that's where those movies take place, right?
Yeah, I think so. At least in one of them. So, anyways, love those movies too. That is seriously, I can't even comprehend it. That's so wild to me. I think that we should make a movie about it.
Yeah, I'm surprised there isn't one.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Let's get on it. Don't steal my idea. Mm-hmm. And anybody out there, please don't.
Yeah, copyright.
Exactly. I am really going to switch up the gears here from all of, I don't even miss the mystery, the myth, the legend. I couldn't even tell you what that was all.
It was like a mystery, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, what happened to it?
Also a legend, though, because that's crazy.
Also legend, because like, was it real?
Right. Also myth, because it real. It was all of them. Yeah. But for you this week, I have some little ghosty stories.
Ooh.
We love a good little ghosty story.
Yeah, we do.
I actually have a couple of ghosty stories for you. So, maybe go get some food. Pause it. Go get some food. Listen, because we're going to be here for a minute.
Okay.
So, I have titled it at least, The Legend of Ghosts of the Outer Banks. Because when I wanted to, go off the grid, me and my family went on a little vacation in the Outer Banks. And if you've never been to the Outer Banks in North Carolina, it's very scary. It's very old land.
Scary.
It's horrifying.
Are you sure?
It's horrifying. First of all, it's so old.
Actually, if I tell you my one experience with the Outer Banks, you're going to be like, that is scary.
Exactly. And so what is it?
Well, I went with my family. This is when we still lived in Pennsylvania, but for some reason we were like, let's go to the Outer Banks.
Well, everybody wants to go to the Outer Banks.
Yeah. Well, anyways, we traveled all the way down to the Outer Banks and stayed in a beach house, like a bunch of us. Mm-hmm. Like, I think there was like 12 of us in a house. Like,
oh, wow.
A bunch of us in a house. And then a hurricane was coming.
Oh, yeah. That's horrifying.
A hurricane was coming. And then most of my family, they left like early, had to cut the trip short.
Yeah.
But my family, we decided to stay a little bit, and then we were like, well, maybe we should go. Mm-hmm. And then we were like, well, we should have stayed because nothing really happened.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's
but it was a little bit scary because it was my first, well, maybe not my first experience with a hurricane, but my first like one at the beach with a hurricane, you know?
Yeah, hurricanes are so scary. That's horrifying. And that's actually crazy that you say that because that actually happened to me while I was there. This time really? It wasn't a hurricane, it was just a really big tropical storm, but it was worse, honestly, because so we were leaving anyway on like last Sunday. Mm-hmm. But Saturday night, while we were still there, we all got like emergency broadcast, like evacuation because a big storm was coming. And we were like, that's crazy. Like, it ain't going to be that bad. Because it had stormed a little. And like, I mean, yeah, it was windy and rainy. But like, you know, it wasn't that bad. But if you don't know, when you go to the Outer Banks, you have to drive. It's completely like you're on an island. You have to drive over like miles and miles of bridges just completely over the water. Mm-hmm. So like once you're on the Outer Banks, you're stuck there. Like, and if there's a big storm and it floods the islands, you can't leave.
Okay, see, also when I went before, like the only time I've been, I was like 14, so I didn't really have that concept in my mind.
Well, yeah, I was driving it, so you know, it was a little different.
Yeah, that's scary.
It was horrifying. And so when me and Dina were literally leaving, so they told us the storm that we needed to, like, if you were going to evacuate before 8 p.m. on Sunday. Me and Dina hopped out of there at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. and the water was in the sand was already covering the roads.
Oh my god.
And I'm just shout out because it was a really huge tragedy. Like, I feel so bad for everybody who was there. Like, tons of houses got washed into the ocean.
Seriously?
I'll send you videos.
Last week?
Yes. It's really bad. Like, it's really, really bad there. Like, my mom's been sending me, like, pictures of, like, the house that we stayed in and, like, the restaurants we ate in. Completely destroyed. Completely flooded. Like, it makes me sick that we just barely missed it. So, it's just horrible and awful to those families, like, who were there and their stuff got ruined because some of those houses are literally in the ocean right now.
Oh my god.
Horrible. Oof. Yeah. Anyways, moving on from that horrible story. So yeah, that's why I went off the grid because, you know, when you're out there, when you're that far, you don't have nothing out there. But it's really old land too. So it's like super haunted. So I was excited to go. And so if you haven't heard of the Outer Banks, we've been talking about it for like 20 minutes at this point, but it's like the very outer edge of North Carolina. And it's like all beaches. So, and there's also the show on Netflix that we love, The Outer Banks. Love it so much.
Yes, I've been thinking about that show this whole time.
I know. I think about it every time I'm like, Pogue Life, every time I go there.
Yeah.
I love it so much. But, so before I get into my stories that I've researched this week, I actually have a little bit of a personal story from my trip. Okay. So while we were there, so the Outer Banks is like, I mean, it's pretty big. It's the whole state of North Carolina on the outside. So you can go like, there's a lot of many places in the Outer Banks. And so we would go on like little day trips to different areas of the Outer Banks. And one day we went to the Wright Brothers Memorial Park, which if you don't know, Orville and Wilbur Wright are accredited to be the very first in flight ever. Like the first to fly a plane ever in North Carolina. And we actually went to the literal spot that they like flew the plane off of, which was so cool to see. And I recommend everybody go.
See, that part looked really cool.
It was so cool. Like, I can't even describe it. We'll put pictures up. It was so cool. And it just so happens that the first plane ever was flown in a city called Kill Devil Hills. Yeah. So already, you know, that's spooky. And so you're like, okay, why is it called that? And actually, there's a bunch of different legends that people have of why it's called that, and nobody can really agree on one. So,
oh, interesting.
That's very interesting. So, for one, obviously, because the devil apparently lives there. Duh, obviously. And the second one is that apparently there's a bird species called the killdeer, and somehow, like, it morphed into Kill Devil Hills, like, over time. But I'm like, that's a pretty weak excuse. Mm-hmm. But the most popular and the most believed reason is actually that they made, like, a rum in this town, and that rum had the potency to kill the devil. So that's, and I do actually believe that that's why.
Yeah, I believe that one too. So the other ones don't really seem.
Yeah, and it's also very hilly, which you wouldn't imagine because it's like at the beach, but it has a ton of hills, which is weird.
Like dunes or
I mean dunes hilly. Covered in grass.
Yeah.
So yeah, dunes, but also grass. So weird though. So anyways, at this memorial, there's a museum and a replica of the actual plane, it was so cool. And then they also had like the literal cabin that they lived in for like tons of months while they were trying to like do the science and math of like, I don't know, how to fly a plane. Can you imagine being the first to fly a plane? Because
see, we're really talking about all these firsts today.
I know, like, we really are. I didn't even realize that until right now.
How do you?
Like how? Like, that's just... I can't fathom it. I literally can't. Like maybe am I just not inventive? Maybe. But like
they're like, we need to get off of the ground.
They're like, right, we have to do something faster. Like it's got to be easy. And you know, literally for them, it was because they did it. On the very first try, they did it. So, I mean, obviously they did math and science many, many times. Yeah. Well, I mean, the first try of the day that they did it. Not the first try ever. But, you know. Anyways, so while we were there, I was just looking in their little bunker, and you couldn't actually go inside of like the little cabin that they lived in, but you could like look inside of it, and it was all like exactly how it was when they lived there, which was super old and really crazy. I'll also post these pictures on Instagram for you to see it. But I was like, you know, I had no idea if the place was haunted or anything, but I was like, a lot of histories happen here, so maybe I'll just take a picture of 2 inside just to see. And obviously I talked to them. I was like, Wilbur, Orville, if you're here, you know, let me know because I need to know. And so then I said that as I was taking pictures. So I took 4 pictures of the inside of their little cabin. And if you've listened to this show before, you have to know that me and Savannah do not really believe in orbs, okay?
No,
like we really don't. We really don't.
We're not orbs people.
However, I actually think that I caught a legitimate orb in one of those pictures.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it too, and I
like, it's hard to explain. I was there, first of all. I was the only person there. Like, nobody else was around me. And so in one of the pictures, there's an orb, like a literal blue, gray-ish circle, above this, like, cooking pot inside of the cabin. And I took 4 pictures, and the orb is only in one of them. And in the other 3, there's, like, literally nothing where the orb was. So, like, it wasn't, like, a shadow. And they're all taken in the same angle, so I don't know. That's a little weird. But I hadn't even looked at the pictures. That was not the scary part that I have to tell you. The orb, because, as you know, even though I do think that was an orb, I still don't believe it was a ghost. Anyways. So, after we look at the cabins and go into the museum, there's, like, a little 15, 20-minute hike up to, like, this actual memorial. Like, big, huge plane wing made out of stone, like, to commemorate them. And so we're, like, on the little hike, you know, whatever. And my mom comes up to me and asked me if I had used the bathroom. And I was like, yes, why? She caught me off guard with that one. I was like, yes, I did. And she was like, did anything weird happen? And I was like, what are you talking about? No, I just peed. Like, no. And she was like, okay, but before that, okay, so at this place, it's mostly outside. Okay, there's one little building, which is the museum, and there's 1 bathroom. There's 2 stalls in the bathroom, but 1 bathroom. So we couldn't have been in different stalls or different bathrooms. So she told me that she went into the bathroom. Also important to know, we went into the bathroom at separate times. So she said when she was in the bathroom, she went into the first stall, which, weird enough, that's the stall that I went into. Anyway, she said that she was just peeing and that she heard, clear as day, a voice whispered directly into her ear. But, like, nobody was there. And she also didn't know what they said, but she was like, it was so clearly a whisper in my ear. And I was like,
that just gives me chills.
I was like, excuse me? I was like, what? And she said, like, immediately she just kind of assumed, like, oh, somebody was, like, in the stall next to her with, like, a kid or something. You know, somebody was whispering and it, like, echoed or whatever. And then when she went out of the bathroom, she was the only person in there.
No.
That's just... And also, my mom doesn't really believe in that kind of stuff. So when she told me that, I was shook. I was like, excuse me? And I was like, nobody whispered in my ear when I was peeing. And I surely do wish they did. Because what? So,
You want that experience?
Well, I mean, yeah. I believe my mom, but I wish it would have happened to me instead, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
Wild. But yeah, that's the only thing that happened to me.
She said that she couldn't hear, but what do you think they're whispering?
I don't know, like, do you want to go fly the plane? Like, off the hill? I don't know. That's what I imagine. Like, some math terms, like... I don't know. I don't know what the Wright brothers would say. But
why were they in the women's bathroom?
That's, predator vibes. I don't know. Actually, I don't know anything about them, so I did go to the museum, but I still don't know anything about them, other than they were really smart, honestly.
Yeah.
Anyways, so moving along to the actual stories that I have for you this week. I do have 2 stories for you because, you know, one's a little short, but I wanted to throw it in there because it's cool. So while I was in the Outer Banks, I bought another Ghost and Legends book, which now I'm just obsessed with and want to buy so many because they're just so cool. And just getting other people's takes on like the legends is so cool. So, this book is it's filled with so many stories from a bunch of like the southern United States. So obviously I had to buy it because that's like, you know, pretty much where I've visited in my life. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to buy it. Mm-hmm. So if you're interested in getting the book, it's called Ghost from the Coast by Nancy Roberts. And first of all, obsessed with the name. Love that.
I was just going to say, like, that's a perfect title, too.
I know. Like, Nancy, you really killed it with that. And the book. It's really good. So the first story I have for you is The Ghost of Station 6. So we are going to go back in time to the 1870s in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. So during that time period, like what we know today as like firefighters, lifeguards, and like overall rescue teams like at the beach, they were known all together as Lifesavers, which I mean, you know, makes sense because that's what they are. Mm-hmm. So the Lifesavers, there was no training for these people back then in the 1800s. No, like, professional, like, classes or whatever. So it kind of made them, like, super legendary in the community because, like, especially for their bravery. Because they were just these random people, like, trying to do as good as they could with the knowledge they had for random people in the community.
Okay, I never really thought about that, like, they didn't get training back then. That's just so crazy.
I really know, because my brother is a firefighter, and the training that he had to go through to become that was, like, a lot. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they didn't do that, like, I'm surprised they saved anybody's life, honestly.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what?
Like, shout out to them, honestly, for doing that. Yeah. Because they did do it most times, which is wild. So as much as the town, you know, they loved them so much because that's so nice of them to do, they were also, you know, still human, and especially without training, they sometimes easily fell to anger or jealousy or pride, which I mean still happens today, you know. Mm-hmm. So anyways, there was a group of men that worked at Station 6, and that was the fire and rescue station of the town in Kitty Hawk. And today, Station 6 has now been transformed into a restaurant called the Black Pelican. And it actually still looks like the old station, so that's really cool. And so all of the history remains there, and also a ghost. Dun, dun, dun. Oh. So, it is 1884, and James R. Hobbs was the keeper of Station 6. He was a man who demanded a lot of respect, especially from his crew. Such as when he gave orders, he expected them to be completed with absolutely no questions type of person. So, you know, while that might not sound too great, you have to think, I mean, like every single time these people went out on their little boats and in the water to save people, they were risking all of their lives. And so I think overall he was just really trying to protect them at the end of the day. You know, like he thought that he knew best.
Yeah.
And he was the leader. So like, although it might not have been ideal, you know, he was really trying to just protect them and do his best.
Yeah.
And so the crew knew that too. You know, they knew he was just a really hard person to get along with, but they knew that too. So it was like super uncommon for there to be like disagreements about that because they were just an understanding. However, in July of 1884, Hobbs and a young crewman named T.L. Daniels actually got into a huge argument. Apparently, these guys hated each other. And Daniels was like super against Hobbs, like in his whole personality of like he's the only one that can be right all the time. And so he was tired of being barked orders. And so he was like, okay, I'm going to rebel against you. But in like a very petty way, you know, he was like, I'm going to just be petty. So one thing that Daniels knew about Hobbs was that he was an extremely jealous man. And another key factor is that Hobbs had a really extremely beautiful wife.
Okay.
And he was extremely jealous over her. Like if any man talked to her, he was like not happy about it. So
I mean, I think I know where this is going now.
Yeah, so Daniels, you know, he used that to his advantage and would at first he would very subtly flirt with her, you know. And then Hobbs would still notice that even like when he was trying to be subtle about it, and he would retaliate against him by treating him really harsh at work, like giving him the worst jobs, like you have to stay late, clean. But Daniels didn't care. He was like, whatever, I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna be petty if I want to be petty. So
yeah, he seems pretty petty.
Yeah, he was really just trying to get underneath this man's skin. So one day, Miss Hobbs needed a ride home from a scene of a rescue because she like would just happen to be there when it was going on, and so he was like, "Oh, I can take you home." And then this started happening more and more, and you know he would just take her home, and then one day he accidentally, quote unquote, but maybe not, accidentally spit tobacco all over her dress. And then, you know, some things might have happened, you know.
Okay.
You know, like it's just an accident, you know. So we don't know if it was an accident or not. Wink, wink. But apparently.
Also, that's gross.
Oh, it's gross.
See,
it's gross. And you know what? Miss Hobbs actually thought it was gross too, and she had to explain to her husband why her like new dress was messed up. And when she told Mr. Hobbs, he was furious, obviously. So that day when she told him, the entire crew was actually drinking at the station, and so Hobbs, both of them, Mr. and Mrs. Hobbs, came down to the station to cuss Daniels out for what he did. And once he got there, like, Hobbs was just so mad. Like, he was infuriated, and his anger grew more and more. And in the midst of him, like, yelling, he pulled out his revolver, and before everybody and the entire crew, shot and killed Daniels in Station 6. Oh, my
God.
I know.
Oh, my God. And this place is a restaurant now?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it sure is. It sure is. The same building. The same building. So,
That's, oh my God.
I know.
No words.
No words. So obviously all of them sitting there were just completely in shock. And in the state of shock, Miss Hobbs actually started just without question, without anybody saying anything, started cleaning up the blood that was leaking from Daniels on the floor. And so the whole crew all started whispering about what they were going to do. And they all came to the conclusion that they really only had one option, and that was to bury him at sea. Because, I mean, basically the entire crew and his wife, like, all lied to save Hobbs. And he never got arrested. And
they didn't turn him in or anything.
No. They figured, like, he was just mad. You know, why ruin his life, you know? I'm saying that in a crazy way because, like, obviously they should have told the police. Like, I don't care how petty Daniels was, you shouldn't have killed him.
How did this story get out then?
I suppose somebody eventually told, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. Oh my God.
Yeah. But also another factor that played into this was that the closest police department was like so far. Because like you just have no idea how big the Outer Banks is unless you've been there. Like there's only one hospital too. in like the span of hundreds and hundreds of miles. So there was only one police station for hundreds and hundreds of miles. And so it would have taken them forever to get there, you know. So they were like, we just need to take care of it ourselves. Plus they were in shock, you know, like if I had just witnessed that, I don't know, I wouldn't want to make him angry and kill me.
Right. No, you're right. Like they were probably either loyal or just traumatized by him.
Both maybe. Like, yeah. I don't know how I would feel either. So according to many who have owned and worked at the old Station 6, the spirit of the young man who was killed still remains there, obviously, because why would he not be? He was killed in horrible circumstances. Like, I don't care how petty he was. I really don't. Because Hobbs sounds like a horrible person. Like, he obviously was. Anyway, in recent years, the station, as you know, has become a very popular restaurant. And a woman by the name of Mimi Adams bought the old station and was told by many people to not buy it because every single person knew in the town that it was haunted. They were like, don't do it, Mimi. And in fact, one of her good friends, Claire, even like one of her best friends, tried to convince her that she did not need to buy it because she had her own experience with the ghost. So the restaurant was actually already a restaurant. I mean, the fire station was already a restaurant at this point. Like when Mimi bought it, she was just going to buy it like and her be the owner of the restaurant. But Claire had actually worked in the restaurant before Mimi bought it. And one day it was her and one other new man who came into work, which was not nearly as many as they needed to come in. Like everybody else called out or just didn't show up. So they were really rushing to try to get everything done before the customers came in. And, you know, they're just beep-bopping around. You know, if you've ever opened a restaurant, you know how stressful that is. So they were just running around when suddenly all of the lights and all of the refrigerator cooling systems, like, started flickering on and off at once and then shut down.
Oh, my God.
And they were like, okay, what is going on? And they were like, whatever, it's just a coincidence. So they're like, obviously freaked out, though, because they're like, what's happening? Like, it was a perfectly sunny day. Like, there was no storms. No power outage was supposed to happen. And also, like, everything went off. Like, the power and, like, it was just weird. They're like, this is not normal. So they're, like, sitting there in the dark, waiting just for everything to come back on because they couldn't do anything until it did. And then all of a sudden, you know, it comes back on and everything seems normal. And so they're calming back down. They're finishing opening when a really heavy bar stool fell over right at the same exact time that a huge gust of icy wind blew past them as they were both just standing, like, together, waiting. And from that moment on, they were like, nope, there's a ghost. And I'm like, girl, that could have been explained, I feel like. Like,
yeah, no.
Like, that is weird. I will have to say that it's weird. But yeah. I don't know if that was a ghost.
Yeah.
Personally.
No, I agree with you. I don't know if it was either.
But, you know, Mimi, she didn't care. She was like, I don't care, Claire. I'm buying it anyway. Another weird thing and not very good thing that happened is that many women have claimed to feel somebody touching or grabbing their shoulder when they eat at this restaurant, but when they turn around, nobody's there. And so we know, you know, Daniel's, you know, he, you know, that's not out of the realm of possibility for him.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, he would do that.
He really would. Yes, he would. But probably the weirdest event of all is that one night there was a really large party of people who were celebrating an event, like, in the older part of the restaurant. So there's, like, event spaces as well as just, like, the regular flooring of eating there. So they rented out the back room for this little party. And the back room, you know, is really the old Station 6. Like, they have added on to it, but, like, this back room fully is Station 6. So during the middle of their little party, the group noticed that somebody must have spilled a bunch of red wine on the floor because it was like a big puddle.
Oh no.
However, nobody was drinking red wine, or even they had ran out of red wine in the whole restaurant. So they were like, what could that be? Whatever, they cleaned it up, whatever, it went away. But then workers started noticing that every single time that it rained, the red stain would appear. And so some people believe that this could literally be the blood of Mr. Daniels, or some others say it's just red wine spilled on the floor. And they don't know. They don't know what it is. So The Black Pelican is still open to this day, and the ghost of Mr. Daniels, I truly think, still remains there. So,
I mean, that's what it sounds like. The blood?
The blood? Are you kidding? Dude, every time it rains, that's sick, first of all.
Like, that's blood.
Like, and also, can we not get some cleaners out there? Because we got to clean that up. That's nasty.
No, right. Exactly.
Or, like, is it ghost blood? Like, is it him... Like, is it really not real blood? And is it him, like, making that vision? Like,
just,
ew.
Like, it's just ghost blood. Ghost blood. That's so funny.
That's scary, though.
Yeah.
Ooh, freaky. So, yeah, that's the first story I have for you, which was creepy. I actually did not go to either of the places that I'm talking about, but my family goes to the Outer Banks every year, so I will be eating there next year. And that's on God. So, the second story I have for you it's about the haunted Roanoke Island Inn in Manteo, North Carolina. So this inn is actually a very large house that was converted into an inn. And today it's decorated very beach themed, old but still cute type of deal. And a woman by the name of Ada Hadley is the innkeeper there. And from the moment that she bought and started like running the inn, immediately strange things started happening. So she was out and about doing things for guests one night when she saw the figure of a huge man standing in the hall right in front of her. And she was like, at first, thought it was just a person. But then, like, as she looked at him and was like, "Hi, can I help you?" She said, "I can't describe it other than it looked like he was looking straight through me."
Oh my God.
And I was like, okay, creepy. That's really creepy. Like, this woman just late at night and this man's looking straight through her. Like, absolutely not. And she said that she was so scared. Like, all of a sudden, like, her body just knew it needed to be scared after standing there for a minute. And he was just standing there. And she, like, threw her hands up and started praying to Jesus and ran as fast as she could. And I was like, okay, me.
That is not a good feeling.
No, not at all. Not at all. And she said after this night, stuff started happening almost daily. And I'm like, oh, yikes, girlfriend. I would sell it so quick. So, another day, one morning, Ada was talking to a man who actually lived in the inn. Like, they're just talking, chilling. And they were, like, in the front room, and they heard a loud crash coming from the next room over. So they decided to go check it out, see what happened. And a flower vase was smashed to pieces on the floor, and the water in the flower was leaking everywhere. Nobody else is in the room. So they were like, the wind must have blew it over. I don't know.
A cat?
However, here's the weird thing. Okay. The vase was broken completely across the room from where it usually sat.
Okay. That's...
Okay. So, they're like, no, it was just a big, huge gust of wind that just flew it across the room, So they start cleaning it up, her and the man that, she was talking with. And as they're picking up the smashed pieces on the ground, they hear another vase shatter in the room that they had just been in. And so they were like, okay. And so they run in there, and the same exact thing happened. The flower vase that was in that room was thrown across the room from where it normally sat and broke, this time into like 1,000 pieces. The first one was only broken into like a couple big pieces. This one was completely shattered.
Okay, I'm just imagining somebody just smacking it across the room.
I know. Like, how much power you have to have, first of all, to even just do that. Like, first of all, that does sound fun. But also, like, girl, why? That's so violent, I feel like. Like, yeah. Chill. The flowers are cute. Goodness.
Right. Like, just keep them.
Yeah. And so, actually, over time, Ada, this became very common for her, which is horrifying. And it actually not only happened with vases, but it would happen with, like, other decor, and actually windows would be open. She would hear somebody opening a window, and then a window would be open, and then she would, like, go in there to close it. And then another window would be open in the other room. Just like games. Games upon games with these ghosts in this inn.
That's annoying.
Yeah,
that's not even like, that's just annoying. Like, you have to fix it.
Right. Like every single time. And you're like, okay, I'm not buying flowers anymore. Like.
Right. And then, yeah, now you're deprived. You don't have flowers. Exactly. And your window's open. What if your air conditioner's on?
Like, there's probably glass still on the floor from the last 12 flower vases you broke. Ghost.
Right. Exactly.
So, you may be asking, who is this ghost? It is said that the ghost is the ghost of a man by the name of Roscoe Jones, which just sounds like such a name.
Roscoe.
I don't know why. I just feel like that would be a name for Garrett.
Oh my God.
Shout out to Garrett.
Yeah. Shout out.
So Roscoe, he was a U.S. postal worker in Manteo his entire life. Until one day, they randomly handed him a pink slip and let him go. No explanation. They were like, bye. Bye, Roscoe. And he was low-key shook because he had worked there as a postal worker literally his whole life. Like, he never had another job, like, straight from school to the postal office. Like, he always delivered mail, and he had assumed his whole life, like, until he retired, that's what he was going to do. So he didn't know what the heck he was going to do with his life, and this kind of sent him into a full-on identity/life crisis. And so after they handed him the pink slip, he went home to his wife and kids and went upstairs. And eventually dinner was ready, and his wife called for him, but he never came down. So she was like, whatever, I'll just leave your plate on the table. And at night, once everybody had went to bed, he would sneak down and take the plate with him that was on the table and eat it upstairs.
What?
Right.
Why?
Like, he was like literally depressed, I guess. Like, he was really in a funk. And so eventually, this just became the routine. She would leave the plate on the table, and then I guess they had separate rooms, and he would just go to his little room, and he became a hermit, honestly. And which is just really sad, because he could have found something else to do. Like, so sad. And also sometimes I be feeling like Roscoe. Like, I don't know what I'm doing in my life either, you know? He just needed help.
See, okay, now every time I feel that way, I'm gonna just be like, I'm just like Roscoe.
I'm just like Roscoe, exactly.
And then it, honestly...
And then you gotta be better, because you can't end up like this. You can't end up smashing vases in an inn.
Yeah, exactly.
So a few years after living like this, Roscoe eventually died in his house. And maybe you didn't guess this, but I surely did. Roscoe's house is now the Roanoke Island Inn.
Okay. Yep.
So, the reason, you may ask, how, even though, yeah, this is Roscoe's house, like, obviously, Roscoe's house, the inn, obviously, this is Roscoe's ghost, but how do we know that it's Roscoe's ghost? Well, many people guessed, even, Ada included, but also many guessed, have claimed to see a man wearing U.S. Postal Service uniform, but way older than the ones that they wear now. Like, you can just tell that it's dated. Mm-hmm. And baby, who else is that? It ain't nobody but Roscoe.
Yeah, it's Mr. Roscoe.
So people literally have seen Roscoe with their own eyes, which is wild. And actually, his wife did die in their house too. And so some people say that they also see her ghost. And although he may be petty, Roscoe is said to be a nice ghost who just likes to play around.
He plays around by smashing vases.
He's bored, you know? Like, he's bored, and he's honestly still angry about being fired for no reason. Like, yeah. I kind of get it, Roscoe. I kind of do. Mm-hmm. But, so, I don't know. I just feel like I would play with Roscoe. You know? He's just sad. I don't know. But, this is so funny. So, eventually, you know, they didn't know this coming up front, but Ada has a very specific example of when she just absolutely knew it was Roscoe playing with her, is that there was like a doorknob one afternoon that needed to be fixed. Like, it needed to be tightened with some screws or whatever. And so she was just working on it, had her little screwdriver, you know, undoing the doorknob, when all of a sudden it felt like somebody on the other side was yanking the door closed and pulling it closed. And then she would open it and he would just like close it back. But nobody was there. So it was literally Roscoe, which, okay. Can you imagine that? First of all, I would be so annoyed. I'd be like, Roscoe, either you fix the door or you leave me alone.
Right, because, like, I mean, it would be a little scary that there's no one there, but if you imagine that someone is there, then it's just funny. Because it's exactly. Like, why are you doing this?
Because honestly, I mean, he's a little mad, but he's chill. You know, he's not hurting anybody. He's not touching women's shoulders like Daniel.
He's like, inconveniencing.
He is a little bit inconveniencing, but also he's just trying to have a good time. So the author of the book, Nancy, actually, like, she interviewed Ada herself and most of these people too. But Ada actually said, she asked, like, you know, is Roscoe still around today? And she was like, yes, he's very much so still up to his shenanigans. But she actually did say that there will be some periods of time, like they can go like weeks of nothing happening. And then she'll think like, oh, maybe Roscoe's finally gone. And then the second she thinks that, something happens like the next day.
Oh my God.
And like, she's like, oh, Roscoe's back. So that is the legend of the Roanoke Island Inn and Roscoe. So I don't know. I would go hang with Roscoe, honestly.
Yeah,
I would go to the inn.
Pretty chill.
I mean, like, he's annoying, but I guess everybody's annoying sometimes.
You're right.
I don't know. I feel bad for Roscoe. I'd be his friend.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those are my stories. Honestly, I love them.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. I didn't realize, like, the Outer Banks were that, like, I mean, I guess I did kind of realize they are haunted.
Yeah. I mean, Blackbeard haunts Roanoke Island.
You're right.
Yes, he does.
There's just a lot going on there with that.
I know. There really is. And there's even more that we might have to get into another day.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely go check out Instagram. There's so many pictures this week you need to see. Like, so many. So please go. And like that. And rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, please. I'm trying to think of anything else. But
go to your local library and
support your local libraries.
Just support them.
Have a good time. Get a book. Read. Everybody needs to go read.
Yeah.
Ooh, I have a book that I can recommend. Where the Crawdads Sing. I know that's very a very popular book, but if you haven't read it, go read it. Because also they're making a movie and it's coming out in July.
Oh.
And it's a really good book. It's so good. I just finished it. So.
Okay, you said I need to read that. I need to.
You absolutely do. And so does everybody else. And it's also set in North Carolina, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a true story, but it's so cool. But I guess that's all that we have. I think this might be our longest episode ever.
I was just thinking that, like, this is going pretty long.
I know. Shout out if you listened to this far. Thank you.
Yeah.
For your continued support. But with that, I guess we'll let you go, I suppose. Yeah. So, okay. I guess we will see you guys next week.
Yep. Cue the music.